Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. We will now start session 2, the solutions to compliance. We will start with Mr. Emmanuel Philippou. Emmanuel Philippou has more than 15 years of sales experience in the maritime industry. He is an expert in simulation training and in vessel traffic services within the company Wärtsilä Voyage. Wärtsilä Voyage is connecting shore to shore, solving today's challenges with tomorrow's technology and breaking data silos to create infrastructural efficiencies that make the global supply chain safer, smarter and greener.
Hello everyone. So before I start, I'm a bit confused because I wanted to start with some Portuguese words and I was supposed to start with bom dia, but now it's over 12 o'clock and it's inappropriate to start with bom dia. So, boa tarde a todos e obrigado para estarem aqui. Just in case Google is my worst friend, so good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much to be here. It's my great pleasure. So, under this session, we will discuss the compliance and the compliance of the simulation simulators, compliance to the navigation reality, how to make the simulators compliant to the real navigation. So, this is the agenda. Agenda is start with a small introduction of where we stand at the moment, and we will introduce you on different solutions that we have developed and then we integrate in the simulators at the moment to make them more real, like in the reality. Introduction. So Wärtsilä is the world leader in terms of navigation simulators. We have more than 25 years, so half of the creation of Nautical Institute, but that's long enough as well for in terms of navigation simulators and in all type of solution for the maritime industry. We are the leader providing the most sophisticated mathematical, visual and hydrodynamical models in terms of simulation. To make it short of what is the simulators today, it is that kind of great visuals, so that looks like the reality. We don't know if it is a picture or a simulator, but this is the simulated image. This is the respect of, in all the areas of navigation, this is the respect of all the waves and wind and currents and all the meteorological data. And it is the behavior of the ship which is today compliant with the real behavior of the ship in terms of simulation or reality. So the question is, since we know that we have simulators that can display information and that can create ships that are very similar to the reality, how we can better comply with the navigation reality and how we can make these simulators even more efficient for the training and even more closer to the reality. The first solution is what we call smart realities. Smart realities, to make it simple, it is as real training as on board. So it includes extended reality. I guess that the best speech sometimes is not to speak. So I will propose you a short video. I'm sorry, I didn't have a 20 minutes video, so I still have to speak for 19 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed it. Because I really like this video. It shows all the capabilities of smart realities within the simulators. So what is it really? It's an immersive bridge and an immersive engineering training solution. It uses extended reality, which is not only virtual reality, but it is all the combined different realities. Smart realities is the combination of 25 years of experience in real simulators, on physical simulators, with the new and the latest technologies. The objective is to train with the technologies of tomorrow that we will see as well on board in the next years. So we use our experience in modeling, in mathematical and in design areas in this virtual environment. It is one platform that can be used with the existing physical simulators. That is an added functionality to focus on specific applications. So this will be very useful for bridge-wing applications. This will be very useful for high voltage breaker applications and trainings as well. So it is one unique platform that is combining the latest technologies with the existing simulators. There is a little bit that virtual, augmented, and mixed reality application will be an important cornerstone in the provision of the future volume of training. The benefits of these smart realities is that we increase the level of immersion of the trainees, of the cadets, before they go on board, or even for the training of the seafarers. So this is the most immersive solution in terms of virtual training. There is a cost-saving solution as well that is always important to know and to notice that there is a minimum setup of hardware that is required. And it utilizes the existing content that we have in the other simulators. So it's not it could be a standalone solution, but it's as well an additional solution to the physical bridge that we use in terms of simulation. So the first applications of smart realities could be mixed reality for cruise ship handling, like bridge-wing applications, like we saw on the video. This could be as well collaborative solutions, and so we can have two people using smart realities at the same time. So you can have one master and one cadet, for example, one in the center and one in the bridge wing. Or we can do as well engineering simulations. So the level of hardware, as I said, is very limited. So that's why it's a cost-saving solution. The hardware, like if we want to have a complete bridge for bridge wings training, will be very important. And even the space to work on the simulator needs to be a big space. So even the infrastructure required will be important. With this solution, we minimize the hardware and we minimize the space. This is totally portable, and this is the only hardware that we need. One small console and all the IT equipment for the virtual reality. So this first solution was to increase the immersion of the cadet, of the trainee, in the simulator. The second one is the smart target. So the smart target is using artificial intelligence for navigation, same as on board the ships. How it works? It works based on intelligent algorithm. That is using the correct regulations, and it makes the target behavior more realistic by preventing all the collisions. Collisions with other targets, so ships and ships, or with the shore, with shallow water, or even with your own ship. The idea of this is very simple. We all know in a simulator a case that we have two target ships that are facing together, and we know that they will enter in collision. But there is nothing to do because the exercise was created like this. And the idea is to make the exercise more intelligent like in reality. It is based on a special technology that is called AIM, which is installed on board the ships with Wärmsilä Ekvis, Wärmsilä FOSS solutions. AIM, it stands for Advanced Intelligent Maneuvering. It is a track prediction that can track in advance, 20 minutes in advance, any kind of collision between two ships or a ship and shore. So this is used in reality, and this is a solution that we integrate in the simulator. So what kind of problems we solve with smart targets? As I said, it provides a more realistic navigational environment for trainees. It is time-saving for the instructor as well, because the behavior of the target ships will be much easier. And for just one definition, because I talk about target ships, in the simulator you have your own ship, which we call the ownership, and all the other ships that you have in the scenario, in the exercise, that are called the target ships. So it is all the ships that you have around you that you don't have any action on this. So it works during the exercise alone. And it is, for the trainees, it is education via observing. So observing the core regs regulation in action with other ships. To make it simple, it was already simple, but to make it even more simple, so I had a small, not a video that time, but it's on the simulator itself. I was not able to provide the tracks and the recording of the simulator itself. But this is the easiest example. So we have two target ships together, and we see that they are facing together to one point that will be the collision point on the left side. So without the smart target, the two target ships will enter in collision. If we activate in the simulator the smart targets, we know that target 2, the one to the bottom, will reduce the speed in respect of the corrects and will avoid the collision with target 1. That was a very easy example, but the field of application is that kind of situation and that kind of exercises to enter a more complex navigation environment. So we can use the smart targets in one environment with more than 50 target ships that are using smart targets. And the objective is really for the trainee to see all the environment and all the behavior of the other ships that are acting like in the reality. Third solution that makes the simulation even more real is the integration of real navigation data. So it is the connection of the ship to the shore. This is something that already exists, that is already installed on board ships and shipping company. And we extend this, the connection of the ship, to the training center and to the simulator. It is a solution that the solution that is installed on board the ship is called FOSS. So it is the integration of FOSS in the simulators. So what is FOSS? FOSS stands for Fleet Operation Solution. It is voyage planning and fleet performance management in one solution for ships and shore. It is, as I said, the connection between the ship and the shore, as we see on the diagram. So you have the ship, and you have all the data, the sensors that are collected by the ship, that are processing and sent via VSAT to the cloud and used by the fleet center. You can have the complete tracking of the ship, and you can have all the data from the ship in the center, in the shore. So the idea is to get all this real data, navigation data from the ships to the simulator. The benefits of this is to have a real-life environment for trainees. It is to replay exact same situation that we met in the reality with the simulator. And for training purpose, it's very good to have hazardous situations. It is to create complex exercises that are created in less time. So again, it's a time saving for the instructor in the creation. I would show you an example straight after. You will see that it's very fast and very easy to do it, to put the reality in the simulator. And it's a great tool as well for analysis in case of collision between two ships. This is what we call the force dashboard. So this is the solution that is installed in Fleet Center and in ships today. So this is the example of a ship that is called Joule V. We see on the force dashboard all the route and all the data of the ship. So the idea is to take this route and all the even the weather data to put them in the simulator. So on the force dashboard, we have one functionality that is simulator export. So you have all the recordings of the navigation. So it's by slots of 4 hours here that is customizable, but you select which part of the navigation that you want to export to the simulator. And then, very easy, you have the overview of the data to be exported, and you switch to the simulator, and there is the data import from force. Here in the simulator, on the right side, you have all the targets and the filter that you want to apply on the targets, and all the association between the AIS data from the ships in the reality and the ships existing with the simulators. Like for this example, we had 343 targets in the reality, and we selected, let's say, only 192 targets for the exercise. So you can filter and select whatever you want for your exercise. Like if there is a fleet of fishing vessels that you don't want them in the simulator for the exercise, you just unselect them. So once the exercise is ready, you have your own ship assignation, that is the ship of your own company, and you have the assignated route, which is the exact same as what it was in the reality. Once you have this on the radar processing, you have all the targets identifications as well, and you have your exercise ready with the route and the visuals, even with the traffic. So this is the reality that is put in the simulator. But the solution is something that we call SPECS. SPECS is a 360 degrees situational awareness in real time. It is a solution that is, again, really existing, really installed on board ships, and available for the simulators. So it is, SPECS stands for Smart Panoramic Edge Camera System that provides a 360 degrees vessel view. Of course, you don't have the cameras in the simulator. We install all the software, which is the exact same software, that is using the video provided and created by the simulator. This is a situational awareness in real time for the vessel to improve the safety. It is fully integrated in NT Pro, which is our simulator. All the key features of SPECS is the bird's eye view, which is an aerial 360 degrees view of the ship to see all the surroundings of the ship. We have one feature that is the augmented reality view. So we don't see very well here, but we have another ship in front, and we have all the navigation data that are displayed, and we have as well all the AIS data of this ship that are displayed on overlay. We have a low light visibility feature that is working on dark conditions to still have a great view around the vessel. That functionality is also working in harsh environment like minus 20 degrees and plus 55 degrees. And one last feature that you all know, it's like the radar in your car. To be honest, I don't know if on the ship it makes beep, 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 beep once you go on the quay, but this is the assisted docking and departure, which is a calibrated grid, and you have the distance, and the distance between the ship and the quay to know exactly what is the distance. So the key features and the key benefits is to eliminate blind spots around the ship. to improve safety, to reduce cost, and to make training and incident investigations. These are a better picture to show you the grid, and you still have on the right side and on the left side, you have the distance between the ship and the object that you can see around. Okay, I'm a bit late. I will go quickly. So the integration of navigation hardware. So this is as well a real interesting part of the simulator. It is to have the simulator, which is the real copy and the real exact same equipment than on the bridge. With Wärtsilä, we have two families of products. The first one is the MFD 4000 XDIS, which is in the company since the beginning and which is integrated in the simulator since the beginning. And we have also the NACOS Platinum solution. What we do now, we still and we integrate the NACOS solution to the simulators. NACOS multi-pilot, NACOS track pilot, radar pilot, or the dynamic positioning. All of them, all the real equipment can be integrated in the simulator. These are pictures not of real vessels, but this is a simulator. This is a simulator using real NACOS bridge. So you have exactly the same hardware than what you can find in the bridge on the vessel itself. So the benefits is training with the latest technologies for the cadets and the trainers, and to find the same bridge configuration than in the reality. Obrigado, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Our next speaker is Sana Soninen. Sana is a master mariner and holds a Master's of Science degree in Maritime Engineering from Aalto University. Before starting as a research scientist and project manager at VTT, the Technical Research Centre of Finland, Sana worked on board Finnish merchant ships as an officer for 10 years. She has also worked as a development manager at the Finnish Maritime Administration and as a director at the Finnish Transport Safety Agency, TRAFI, later Traficom, with responsibilities in marine issues, aviation, road and railroad safety. In 2017, Ms. Soninen was appointed as pilotage director of the state-owned pilotage company, Pilotage Limited, and the CEO of the ICE Advisors Limited, a company assisting shipmasters on vessels navigating in icy conditions.
Thank you, and my warmest thanks to the organizers for inviting me here. It is an honor to be speaking about our views on pilotage and maritime issues in general here in the southern part of the Europe. I'd also like to congratulate, of course, Nautical Institute for their impressive 50 years and wish you all the best in your future efforts. Your work is impressive, and we believe that it will be even more impressive with the challenges we have in the maritime world at the moment. Portugal is to me a dear place. I've been here on entry meetings and other work occasions. But I used to work also on board an LPG tanker, where you could say that the home port was actually the port of Sines, 25 years ago. So, but anyway, so this is a very, very, very dear place to me, and we often cross the Atlantic after here, going to the States and South America with the cargoes from here. But today, I'd also like to thank the previous distinguished speakers. There was a lot of issues that I touch upon, because I'm talking about remote pilotage, so I will not go into that. But I would like to highlight particularly the points taken up by Captain Dolan, because that is of course very close to my heart with my present position in Finland. But also the previous speaker from Wärtsilä, whom we cooperate very closely with Wärtsilä in Finland. Our training institutes, we have the Wärtsilä portable pilot units. We use the Naviplanner and the And we also, together with Wärtsilä, have developed this route exchange information, which enables us to digital transfer pilotage routes to ships and present them in their equities, independent of the manufacturer. So there's a lot of ways we are working with Wärtsilä at the moment. But we're also working with ABB, Kongsberg, and others to make reality what I'm going to talk about today. While talking about remote pilotage today, I would like to remind you that I'm not talking about remote pilotage because I think it would be easy and doable. Why we are so interested in remote pilotage is exactly the opposite. We think it's very hard and it takes a lot of effort from the whole pilotage community in order to take that kind of leap to be able to do even a small portion of pilotage remotely. So we've set prerequisites so that even if we would consider remote pilotage to be able in, let's say, 10 years, we believe that it will only be available and suitable for part of the ships. We know the polarization of ships happening nowadays with the high-tech and very smart crews and very competent crews onto the not so expensive cargo with not so expensive ships and crews. So in this way, pilotage, as it is now served, is a service for all. From our point of view, remote pilotage, if it will be or when it will succeed, it's in particular in the beginning, it's not a service for all. Coming from Finland and from the Nordic countries with technology-wise people, we believe that there are some fairway ships, and we're talking about intelligent fairways, we're talking about smart ships. We're not talking about everybody. So remember that I don't say that this is doable and we'll do it next year. I'm trying to give you an idea of how we think the way forward on the future years might be. But before even going to that, there is a lot of issues about the traditional pilotage. We don't have a common understanding what pilotage is. Captain Dolan was talking about the master pilot exchange importance. There is still an issue. How is it possible? We're living in 2022 and we're still talking about the simple issue of communication between the captain and the pilot. So that is of course my main work on a daily basis about how to develop the pilot is as it is nowadays. But in addition to that, we of course want to understand what pilot is in the future. And in this case, first of all, coming to the issue raised by Captain Dolan, we want to make sure that if a ship would be remotely piloted, the captain would have every information about the ship's route and the pilot fairways before the ships arrive to the pilot position. So that's why we've been developing solutions where we can get everything that the master needs beforehand and familiarize and make decisions. When the ship closes the piloted fairway, there will be more information given about the updates of the situation on the fairway, the conditions and everything, the traffic to be met, etc. The aim is that, now I'm talking a vision of the future, you see the pilot boarding position there on the purple color. When the remotely piloted ship would come there, the captain would have everybody aware of where connectivity would have been tested, it would be redundant, and every information would be there. So that is an ideal work. But then again, people do it even now. Why not? You don't need to have remote pilotage to do all this. There needs to be a shared awareness. There needs to be a shared situational awareness between the captain and the pilot. And it has to be explicit and anonymous figures. You have to know exactly what is going on. There has to be a trust. The pilot is a part of the bridge organization, so how do we do the trust part of here between the captain and the pilot? So when we start piloting, we use this initiative cube here. That's my way of saying that in future, for remote piloting, we need to create a safe view to the captain of the ship. Pilotage, in particular, for example, in Finnish waters between the Arctic fairways and southern waters, can take up to 7-8 hours between small islands. And the captain has a lot of difficulties understanding the future parts of the fairway. So the pilot is the local advisor, knowing where to turn next and understanding the route. So we will be using different kind of information methods that the picture will be drawn to the captain to understand where I'm heading and what I'm doing next. And there has to be a redundant connectivity so that the pilot can continuously inform what is going on. In this picture, we entail the different connectivity issues, the sensors on the fairway, the possible sensors on the ship. But one thing that we are very keen on is understanding that we're not producing new equipment on board the ship. So we are integrating to the systems that we already have. We don't want to have any more monitors for the captain to be looking into. That's why our manufacturing technology is involved in our research. We've done a lot of research and are continuing, but that is something that we hope to cooperate. When we are finally approaching the port area, we have investigated how many percent of our pilotage is actually the pilot is asked to do the harbor maneuvers. And the percentage of where the captain, actually the master himself, does the maneuvers is getting smaller and smaller. One of the prerequisites that we think is on the pilotage is that if a ship would be remotely piloted, the captain has to be able to do the port maneuvers himself by the assisting role of the pilot. So the role will change, and this is again one thing why we believe that it's not going to happen next year or the year after that, but we need to do this together. We are talking about clouds. I know this is a difficult point for many, but in order to take all the data that the master needs and the pilot needs, we need to take all the VTS data, the radar data. We've had some good discussion with Wärtsilä about making the radar picture as data and showing it to the remote pilots. There's a lot of technology available, but we really need to dig deep into how to use it for the communications. The connectivity is often the key issue. How to create this common understanding for the pilot and the crew on board and the bridge team. But this is something that we cannot do alone in Finland or Sweden or Norway. We have to understand that pilot is, as it is nowadays, it's not standardized. We don't have a common understanding. We don't have a demand for all of the pilots in all of the world to do the certain way of master pilot exchange, to do certain things. And what hampers the introduction of remote pilot, it's exactly the same thing. This cannot be done unless we ensure that we have some kind of ecosystem. Ecosystems are trendy, so I'll use the word, of piloted service providers, understanding what we aim at and what pilotage really is, and maybe even defining different levels of pilotage. Now it's the same service for everybody, independent of the technological level of the ship or the competence of the crew. If the outer circle is ecosystems, then the following circle is the safety, because it has to be, as in autonomous shipping, as safe as, and we hope it will be safer for those who are able to use it. Technology, what technology will be used, and then connectivity. Those are the three key issues that we need to build. Then we need to do a lot of risk assessments. We've been doing the IMO-guided formal safety assessment procedures in Finland in order to understand how to evaluate the safety. We need to do testing. We did a first demonstration of remote pilotage in May, and we'll be continuing them with Wärtsilä during 2023. And then, of course, we need to validate all of this. We need to do the testing and validation and verification that it works. But in the core of this issue is the architecture of the whole system, the standardization, the regulation needed, and the process of remote pilotage. And remote pilotage will never be realized if we, for example, in the Nordic countries, define it, because it has to be similar everywhere. A ship's owner or a master having the capability of getting remote pilotage has to know that when the ship leaves Finland and comes to Lisbon, it has to be able to use the same technology and the same interfaces, and we are far from this at the moment. So with my previous background as an IMO delegate, I hesitate to say that, but I believe that we have to take this to standardization, and we have to take pilotage to IMO in a totally different level that we've ever done to achieve the goals that we have in future, and to serve our clients as the masters of the ships properly around the world. Because the ultimate goal is there with the pilot boarding position, the safe and secure remote pilotage, but also the safe and secure traditional pilotage. We've done a lot, but I'm not going to go to the development process that we have had. With this, I'd like to just thank you for the forum. I hope that I will be having discussions with many European countries and on the development issues. But there's a lot of work to be done before we can do any of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jorge Antunes. Jorge holds a PhD in maritime technology from the University of Newcastle. He also holds a master's in marine technology from the same university. He holds a degree in naval architecture from the Instituto Superior Técnico, Portugal, and was a merchant marine seagoing officer and qualified in the Escola Nautica Infante Dom Enrique. Postgraduate studies at AESE, GAEM, Advanced Management of the Economy of the Sea. His professional career spans as a seagoing engineer officer, an exclusive machinery surveyor for Lloyd's Register of Shipping, a lecturer at IST Lisbon Technical University, and a lecturer at ESN IDH Portuguese Nautical College. In 1994, he founded Techno Veritas and has been since then its CEO, but also the company's scientific and technical manager. The company has been working worldwide and dedicated to marine technology, namely on the decarbonization and hydrogen. He has developed his professional activities between the University of Newcastle for the last 18 years, visiting lecturer of the Master of Science in Marine Technology, MTEC, in England and Singapore. And he has been working simultaneously in industry and academia. He has worked as a consultant for several engine manufacturers, including MAN and Wärtsilä.
This time, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. And the presentation, my apologies, it was quite long. So we are dedicated to the ship optimization in terms of energy, ship digitalization, and also the circular economy, and producing a lot of research on new fuels. We have done quite a few, won quite a few prizes worldwide. So going back to what is more important, why the decarbonization is needed. And what I'm trying to note on this is this just a challenge or a forced challenge? This is the forced revolution. So these are the first points I will be addressing. So in fact, everybody says, okay, in terms of emissions per ton, transported shipping is the most efficient or the less pollutant way of transport or mode of transport. Yes, it is. Although if we join all the ships around the world only on the marine, merchant marine, then they become, the international shipping becomes the 6th bigger polluter in the world, okay? So then if we look at only one company, MSC is polluting more than is a bigger polluter with their ships in Europe. I believe most of us, we were not aware of this. So one other point that we need to understand is that, okay, rulers, IMO, etc., okay, so and also the European Union, they can enforce whatever rules they like. However, we have a very sad reality that is our fleet age. Okay, so we cannot do much, especially on general cargo ships, small containers, because 67% of them, they have more than 15 years. Okay, so this poses a problem that is a worldwide problem. So no matter, people needs to change the mindset. Okay, so 31% of the container ships, they have more than 15 years. Bulk carriers are the less, how to say, affected on this. But if we look at tankers, or if we look at general cargo, 67%, this is a lot of ships that are not anymore updated. There is a big force for shipbuilders to construct new buildings, okay, and also for the engine manufacturers. But are we going to get better ships than we can get in terms of efficiency that we get from this? Where is the problem, or where are the problems? Okay, so the targets are feasible or not. What are the challenges for ship decarbonization? It is quite important to understand here, because most of you are pilots, and pilots have also a very strong impact on the decarbonization of the activity of their ships, okay? So there are the surfing captains, full ahead, okay, from zero, full ahead, great. That is wrong. There are ports, very important as well. Most of the ships, they sail at a certain speed, and then when they come nearby the port, they are just waiting for a berth, so to be moored. So decarbonization is not only about the ship itself and its machinery, it's also about all the stakeholders, okay? So ports need to be in very close connection, as our colleague mentioned, and to predict when they have the availability to minimize the time of the ship in port, okay, and waiting. Very important. So new business approaches are absolutely important. We have also a strategy of energy and low carbon fuel availabilities. And this poses a number of questions. That is, low carbon fuels are not for everybody. Put this in your mind, okay? Only some have ammonia, okay? Only some can have LNG or methanol. All the rest are lies. People need to be aware what is available for you, okay? Then the technology of today has virtually the same efficiency as the technology of 10 years ago. So the diesel engines are basically the same. So big differences are on the systems integration and digitalization, information, okay? Existing vessels need to be energetically improved and need to use less carbon-intensive fuels, okay? But lower consumption means lower power means lower speed means bigger capacity or cargo capacity to keep the cargo flows as it is expected by the societies, okay? And this means adjustment of trade. So the next time, the future will be lower, much lower speeds, much lower powers, okay? If not, this is not possible. Why? Because power is proportional to the speed to the cube, okay? So a small reduction of speed, we can get a lot of improvement in terms of power and fuel consumption. Okay, so going ahead, who is going to scrutinize your vessels, your performance? Ship owners will be scrutinized and by freighters that will pick up from the market the ships with the best energy efficiency. That is for sure. So the other ones that want to keep on the business need to improve. The port authorities are already preparing taxes for the less efficient ships, okay, the insurers as well, and the investors for the for the new buildings, etc. Okay. So what is the big problem here? If you look at this graph, it is from an IMO publication, already with some years, but from 100 kilos of bunker fuel, you are sending 27 kilos, expelling 27 kilos through the stack. And you are sending another 30 kilos to the water. So what is effectively going to the shaft is only 43 kilos. Okay, so ship owners, please think about this. Then a lot of people is investing on hull friction, cutting the bows, putting putting nozzles, etc. But in fact, where is the big area for working is around exhaust and around the heat and cooling water systems. Okay, so be aware that in fact only about a small quantity of energy is used to propel the ship, 28 kilos out of 100 kilos. Have this in your mind, is quite interesting. Yes, so if we still do the ship design as before, we are happy to hit the ocean, right, and to hit the atmosphere. Okay, so these are infrared graphs or photographies of two different ships in the Finnish port, and they are eating up the ocean. Easy, huh? Okay, think about it. You are burning fuel to eat up the ocean. So this is a bad design of a ship. Be very careful with what shipyards are offering to you, okay? Remember that about between 30 and 40% is for cooling of the main engine. And think about these losses through the stack up to 35%. Okay. Now, are the targets feasible on time? That is the big question. Have you money to improve your ships? Good. You don't have money? You are in the bad side of the story. Okay, so let's see. We have the EEXI, Energy Efficiency for Existing Ship Index, and CII, Carbon Intensity Index. So these are not the worst of your nightmares. European Union is preparing a very bad nightmare for you. Okay, I will come to it in a minute. So IMO set to 2030 as the target date for reducing ships' carbon emissions by 40%. This is 7 years from now. Okay? So this means that ship owners that want to keep themselves in the business need to improve their ships. Okay? And this applies to all the ships over 400 gross tons. Important to consider. So the difference between EEXI and the CII, just to make sure. The EEXI, it is done only once at the time for a ship, for an existing ship, and certifies the ship in terms of efficiency. The EEXI, EEDI, even for the ships that have no EEDI, they need to have an EEXI, okay, that characterizes the ship in terms of energy consumption in grams of CO2 per ton nautical mile. Then these indexes do not change with time. They are made only once at the ship time. Although, if in another hand, CII is a monitoring indicator and evaluates the ship energy efficiency along the time. It's calculated annually and should be monitored to avoid surprises. Okay, CII should generate the awareness to the ship management regarding the energy efficiency of the vessels through time. okay? Like cleaning propeller, cleaning the hull. The formula is like a train, so it's really big and difficult to calculate, has lots of coefficients. So, but keep this in mind. This EEXI is only once on the ship time. CII is continuous, it's for continuous monitoring. So the expression is very, very similar to this one. Okay? So CII can be calculated as an annual fuel consumption divided by the distance traveled, so times the CO2 factor that depends on the fuel that you are using and the capacity or tons that you are transporting. Then there is a correction factor that are still making a lot of people to shout with each other. But next year, 2023, it will be done, okay? So CII requires you to reduce from during the first year 2%. For the other, from in 23 up to 24, another 2% and so on. So up to 11%. What is important to mention here is the European nightmare. They don't care about the cargo that you are transporting anymore. Okay, this is really brand new. This has about 1 week or so. And this is expressed in grams of CO2 per megajoule. This time, you have to include also generators, and there is a discussion on auxiliary boilers. All right? So, and believe me, to have this 5% reduction, it will be a hard job. And this hard job is also accompanied with a strong penalty mechanism that make all the ship owners that are cheaters on the market to think twice, okay? So for a ship that is complying in 2022 with these grams of CO2 equivalent per megajoule, we have an increasing penalty that in 2030, at the rate of today, it will be about 500,000 penalty for the ones that do not comply with these reductions. Okay? In 2035, 1 million, okay, at present, so corresponding to today. So ship operators, ship owners, be very, very cautious with this. This will put a lot of ships out of service. Yeah, the big formula. I'm just going to pass it. Okay. Ship decarbonization and timeline. So now I will be talking about fuel solutions for decarbonization, criteria, and emissions of a vessel, also depend on vessel-port interface, and what can be done now. One thing that I have been going around the world, and most of the ship owners are completely puzzled, especially because some classification societies and some people that should be talking in a different way, they just make a big mess out of this. To select the fuel for a ship, you need to understand where you want to operate the ship. So it depends on the area of operation of the ship. Okay? Okay, so we have a number of criteria, technical, economical, environmental, other, but you need always to adhere to this. Do you think that there will be ammonia for everybody? Forget it. Don't be fooled. Don't allow other people to fool yourselves. Okay? Or methanol? Forget it. That does not exist. Okay? So, even today or yesterday, the president of United Nations, Mr. Guterres, was talking that right now there is a lack of ammonia to produce fertilizers. Okay? So, Nobody's going to do it. Better for food, okay? Okay, then what we can understand also on this is technically diesel engines will be our best friends for a long time. They burn everything, all right? So diesel engines will be able to burn whatever fuel you put inside with a great efficiency, and this is again to let you know, okay, fuel cells, great. They are far away from the reality, okay? We need high power on board these ships. We are talking about megawatts. You can count with 3 fingers how many fuel cells with more than 1 megawatt exist around the world. There are no available. Okay, so we are talking about what? For small applications, yes, great. For propulsion, forget it, okay? So we may see very soon nuclear power propulsion plants to propel the ships. It was done in 1966 with the Savannah, okay? So things are going on. Also, the investment. I have done a number of projects to evaluate the investment on converting existing diesel engines to natural gas, liquefied natural gas. You know, the cryogenic tanks and plant, they worth more than the ship itself. So nobody's going to do it, right? So we have here one captain that was very well done. So, okay, let's see about, sorry, this is, let's see, in terms of other properties, which are the main, the fuels that are the buzzwords. So typically, we have LNG, maybe a solution, extremely expensive to implement in the propulsion plant, probably not usable straight away for diesel generators. It may be possible, it's possible, but there may be some difficulties, not regarding the diesel generators, but because we intend, or most of the industry intend LNG for propulsion, okay? So these have 2.75, an emission factor of 2.75 tons per ton of LNG, and a great calorific value, 48.75 megajoules per kilogram. Heavy fuel oil, you see, marine gas oil, 3.2 tons of CO2 per ton of diesel. You know, last month, the emissions of CO2, 1 ton of CO2, reached 90 euros a ton, 90 euros a ton. This means that by 1 ton of heavy fuel oil you burn, you have to count that it's 600 euros or more a ton. You have to count with another 270 euros plus on tax compensation. Okay, and there is no way to go back, because the European Union will make the ETS, the European Trading Scheme, in force for the shipping. That is for sure. Okay, and then finally we have ammonia that has no CO2, no C, no carbon on the molecule, and hydrogen. For Portugal, which are the fuels? For Portugal, we have the possibility of making a zero-emission ship, provided the hydrogen is green, and we are using biofuel, not competing with the food crops. So I am talking about circular biodiesel, okay? Then we can get a zero-emission ship quite quickly, all right? One other aspect is also the CO2 from well to propeller, okay? And here we are talking just about the tank to propeller. All right, so we need to be very careful also on these definitions. By far, the bigger producer of ammonia is China, India, Russia Federation. Imagine Germans just have planted one green ammonia plant in the south of Russia, so it's not anymore possible. But I see Germany in the 11th place and France on the 13th place, so there is no ammonia. Sorry, guys. Regarding hydrogen, we can produce it. We have the capacity to produce quite a lot in Portugal. So Portugal may be one hydrogen hub also for the shipping, all right? Very interesting, this. And in fact, there are ship owners in Portugal that are thinking about this very, very seriously. Hydrogen production, regarding the hydrogen, so in fact, this is the distribution of what is hydrogen used for, okay? So for shipping is not expressing any percentage here, but it is used for the food to produce margarine, to produce many other things. Okay, hydrogen production forecast, as you can see, in fact, the slide is really bad, but 2020 to 2030, there is a huge leap on the production, so this is the time. One good thing, we are producing also what is called liquid oil hydrogen carrier, okay? In the association, we are carrying a lot of experimentations at IST, and we can see that the liquid oil hydrogen carriers, that is a liquid, can carry about 62.4 kilos per kilos of hydrogen per metric cube. So this is, I hope this works. Yeah, this is the oil, and this is hydrogen bubbling out of the oil. So this is our liquid oil hydrogen carrier at our lab. So quite interesting. So in fact, we will be loading this oil on the ship bunkering tanks. On the ship bunkering tanks. Uh-oh. Now we need to go ahead. Just okay. Biodiesel. We have in Europe just 4% of the biodiesel availability, and it is produced here in Portugal by Prio. Okay. Methanol also has their own applications, is not available. The quantity is very small worldwide. The ship-shore interface, very important. As I said, there are lots of stakeholders that can, help to decarbonize the shipping and the ship itself, especially with shore power connection, provided the energy is not produced by a black plant, okay? So should be green energy. Here is one other example. In fact, I have to thank Mystic Cruises. We have been doing a huge, job. We are monitoring their fleet, especially in terms of energy. So we can see the CO2 emissions of Mystic Cruises in real time per day. Here they are. So also we can have the information in terms of consumption of their engines. Everything is at hand. And for the captains that speed too much, or we can, by measuring, we can advise what is the best speed, the best economical and environmental speed. Okay, so we can also measure The CII, as you can see, so we have the solutions to measure this on time, in real time, and correlate the CII with the speed over ground and the total fuel consumption. This is of utmost importance, okay? Sudden accelerations of the vessel, sudden stops of the vessel, all these have a huge influence on the emissions of CO2. Total fuel consumption, this is from another ship, as you can see, so we can understand exactly the consumption of fuel profile of the vessel, and then advise and create awareness to the people on board. And then this is a very interesting graph. We can determine which is the most economical speed of the ship, and all these dots correspond to different environment conditions that the ship is experiencing related to the ship trial in red. So in red is the baseline, and then we have a mathematical model developed, as you can see the equation here in the bottom. Okay, thank you very much. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In view of the fact that we are considerably over time, I think we'll go straight to lunch and to try to meet up with the speakers if you have any direct questions. Thank you.